Well, first, thank you everybody for being here. I understand there's a happy hour waiting somewhere soon, so I really appreciate you all spending your time with us, and I want to make sure that we give you some really good, insightful information on how to scale AI in your enterprises with an amazing panel I have here. I have Joe from Northwell Health, I have Mo from Williams-Sonoma, and Adam from Smyths Toys. My name is Riyaz Habibbhai. I run product marketing for Google Cloud, and really excited to kind of introduce our panel. So Joe, if you want to give a little bit of background about yourself, that'd be great.
Sure, Joe Gimigliano at Northwell Health, one of the largest health systems in the country, the largest in New York State, and we're growing rapidly.
Awesome.
I am Mo. I'm with Williams-Sonoma family of brands. I look into their product discovery and enterprise AI strategy.
I'm Adam Sexton. I'm with Smyths Toys. We're a toy retailer, and we're the largest toy retailer in the world. That sells explicitly just toys. That's it.
Yeah, and Adam joins us from the UK, so make sure you clap loud so he stays awake, because he's fighting jet lag as well. Yes, that's the way to do it. All right, so today the goal is to kind of do a little bit of what, why, how, and what is the impact of AI. All these leaders have actually adopted, are at the forefront of adopting AI in their enterprise, and they'll share a little bit about how that can be valuable as a knowledge for you all, right? So starting with you, I'm actually starting with Mo. Just the same question for you all, like walk the crowd here to how are you using AI in your organization, right? Where do you see the value? So Mo, we'll go with you first.
Sure. At Williams-Sonoma family of brands, we have customer-facing AI agent for all of our brands. We started with service agent, the agent that helps answer question about where customers' order is. If they need help with scheduling their furniture delivery, the agent is there. It's always available 24/7. That's where we started our journey. From there, what we started to build into is what we call guided discovery agent. The first one we built that was for one of our brands, Williams-Sonoma. What a guided discovery agent is, it's not a chatbot. It's something beyond that. It's there to guide the customer, explore our brands, find what is the right utensils or cookware or appliances that's suitable for customers' kitchen. If you are into home design, how to put together the furnitures, the textile, everything that goes together. And it's kind of like a guided companion. You can explore ideas, you can ideate, and it's there all the way to guide. So that's how we are kind of staying with the foundation that we have built with our service agent, building on top of that guided discovery agents.
Pretty cool. All right. Joe, you want to share a little bit more about yours?
Sure. So we've been on a modernization and transformation journey for the past few years, looking at platforms. So for one, and the engine that runs our hospital is Epic, the medical record system. So that's a key platform with trusted data. Our investment in Google and our partnership, creating the infrastructure and the data and analytics platforms that ingest data from many sources, Salesforce, ServiceNow, all of these are key platforms that build a trusted foundation that is enabling the AI capabilities that we're using in a couple of key areas. Big focus areas when we think about the uses of AI, we have administrative staff, back office personnel, people that support the organization. Then you have clinical staff, think about nurses and doctors, and then patients, and using AI directly in those interactions. We're just scratching the surface there, but those other two areas is where we've spent a lot of time over the past few years.
All right, and through the session, we'll dive deeper into a little bit more.
Sure.
So thank you. Adam, you want to bring it home?
Within Smyths, where we're using it is kind of like the journey started with us creating a proof of concept, and to get the senior leadership to buy into this whole idea, because Smyths is a little bit tricky to bring about ideas this big. We chose customer service. It's kind of like an obvious reason why everyone understands it. And it was a proof of concept with this idea of answering just this one question, and it was, where's my order? So if you're a retailer, you probably have that question a lot. And we went from that starting question in January 25, and at the end of it, we actually took 60% of the entire department, answering every single question, social media, everything. We did 300,000 emails. So that's kind of where we started with customer service and with our AI journey. It was there. But the ambition's not that our ambition is to actually do a digital workforce. And that's where we want to go. We want to build a buyer, a digital buyer that is actually out there to not replace a buyer, but to challenge a buyer with their decision making. And the whole idea behind this is if you're holding hundreds of millions of pounds or dollars of stock, if you get a 2-3% improvement on that decision making, your return on that is enormous. So we were massively successful in that customer services space, and that is now giving us the green light, and we are now looking at that buying space, building an AI to sit in there and drive improvement of decisions.
That's pretty cool. So if I understand correctly, for you, you saw an opportunity to actually help your buyers and make them more helpful and safe. The 2-3% on the massive inventory you have goes a long way.
Yeah.
Would you say it was an opportunity, or were you seeing some problems in the space and that what got you through AI? Like help folks kind of understand, you took an opportunity to your leadership to get buy-in, or it's like, hey, we were seeing a problem and we turned it into an opportunity. How did that go around?
It wasn't really seeing an opportunity. There was one as such. Smyths was expanding. We went from Ireland and the UK. Toys R Us went under, and that led to an acquisition. And that brought in new aspects of the business and certain new challenges. And that's, I think, an opportunity was there. But that wasn't really it for us in Smyths. We didn't use AI because we had business problems and AI was the solution. We want to use AI because that is your way to stay competitive. And we had to embrace it. If we didn't embrace it, we would be at risk of falling behind. So that was the main reason why we did it. Yeah. And yes, and the way we've done it was actually similar to what you were saying, Mo, where it's not a chatbot that we're building. It sits behind the scenes. You do not need to interact with it. If you have a senior buyer, you have a junior buyer, they all have various different reasons for getting something. A senior buyer might be very busy, simply forgot to ask a question. So chatbot's not very good there. A junior buyer may not even know to ask the question. So what we do is we monitor everything the buyer is doing, and we will then challenge the buyer on a decision. And the idea is that will get them to think twice about what they just did. And that could lead to changing a purchase order, ordering something with a different vendor, something to this effect. Hopefully that will then lead to better decision making overall.
Got it. Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's like, find not just an opportunity or problem, but see if AI can actually change the way you're working.
Yeah.
Right. I'll come to you, Joe, on that one. What made you the decision to go with AI? Like, what was the problem statement? Was it a problem statement or was it an opportunity? Especially any of those three areas that you said. So,
I don't see it as an option. We must embrace it. The financial headwinds, the supply and demand challenges we have in healthcare put immense constraints on our ability to service our patients. So if you think about people living longer, which is a fantastic thing, it's putting more demand on the services offered by doctors. And that just puts more pressure on us. And there's limited supply, there's limited staff. And we have to find ways to keep up with that demand. So we have to embrace tools to make us more efficient, more effective, guide decision-making, and just empower our workforce to be able to do more with less.
got it. So it's a constant challenge in healthcare that's always there. AI also gave you an opportunity to look at how to adopt that technology and drive that further.
Absolutely. Put some more power tools on people's tool belts.
Got it. And Mo, for your, like a brand like Williams-Sonoma, what was the driving force around being early in this journey and adopting quickly?
I think we started with this what if question. What if customers could talk to our brand? They can talk to our associate at our stores, but when you are shopping online, typing something into the search bar isn't necessarily talking to the brands. It can give you a bunch of products back, but that's not a conversation. I love to tell the story to everybody. When, building the service agent, everybody were on board. We want to factor in the availability of those agents so our customer get their service all the time. But when we went into this guided discovery agent, we were building this close to Thanksgiving last year. The story came around, let's think about a customer who is hosting her first Thanksgiving. She needs to figure out the menu. She needs to think about the table setting. She needs to think about the ingredients. Can she buy some dessert? and try doing it without a guiding agent, maybe. You can, of course, do that. You can search, you can open probably 15, 20 different tabs, go through it. What if we had a guided discovery agent that could have guided this customer in her journey to plan, to execution? And when we could showcase this is what the experience be like, we were all on board.
That's pretty cool. So I'll stay with you, or actually I'll come back to Joe. I'll come back to you because I have another question for you.
Okay.
But there's always this journey on, hey, we can buy a solution and we can build on a solution, right? And the same goes for you, Adam. What made you decide to go build with Google? What was the part that you saw as a partner from Google that really enabled you on this journey?
So some of the key platforms that I mentioned, they have AI agent capabilities, and we do leverage it where it makes sense, where you're using the agents within the applications, within the workflows. But there's work that needs to be done, data and analytics work, where you have to have trusted data platforms. And when we looked at Google and we looked at their capabilities in this space, when you look at the infrastructure that they have globally, supporting literally billions of people, and billions of transactions per day, they have an infrastructure like no other. Where you see many other companies that are racing to build out data centers, they've had data centers out there for a very long time. And their pedigree, the analytics data capabilities are fantastic. The competitors are doing a great job as well. But when you look at the infrastructure that's out there, it's pretty impressive. And when you look at the ability for them to integrate with other partners, and you saw some of the competitors on the screen at the keynote this morning, they're embracing and understand the importance of leveraging other models as well within that infrastructure. And I think that's a testament to a partner that's willing to that understands that there's others out there.
Yeah, no, that's, we believe it in fully a great AI stack, but also fully open. So to allow the customers to have flexibility. Thanks for calling that. Adam, anything to add on that, on your choice of working with Google?
For myself, what you said is kind of true as well. It's the scale like Google operates at, and the fact that you own a lot of your hardware is very good. But the technology, for me, wasn't the overriding decision. A lot of it for me was I measured on deliverables, not on whether we had the best technology. So, the competitors do have good stuff. Google has very good stuff as well. So one of my key things is if I'm being measured on deliverables, I need to have somebody who will help me deliver something real. And when we were talking to other competitors, we spoke to them. They would bring in a barrage of people, 10 people of accountants, and there'd be like 2 or 3 of us. And that just didn't work for Smyths. That's not us. So we didn't like that. We came to Google, and Google have got 2 or 3 people led by engineers, and the feeling of being able to walk away from that, knowing we can deliver something.
Yeah.
I was like, that's what gave me confidence to pick Google.
Got it.
And so for me, it was more about that.
The product engineering DNA of Google. Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Because I've got to deliver something.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So I want to stay with you, Adam, a little bit. So let's get a click down from the use cases that you've shared. And we've had this conversation before, and you've shared a few. So you're a big user of BigQuery, and you also integrate a lot of Google technology with SAP. Can you walk the audience through how do you integrate with SAP, how you use that data? Because I think for a lot of retailers, managing their inventory through SAP and that workflow, how does Google help you? What are the specific technologies? How are you integrating AI into building the solution that is helping your buyers?
Yeah, so if we go a little bit technical, we can do a little bit. We actually are building a digital workforce. That's our really big objective. So to do that, we actually need to have a lot of data. We need in Smyths, we have an SAP instance, a decent sized one. It is our master system, and it always will be. BigQuery will never change this. So if we are going to build this digital workforce, we need to somehow federate this data out so that we could do complex AI reasoning on it. Because SAP in itself isn't the greatest place for 2 or 3 million token question to run. You really want that in a better environment. So we federate data out from our S/4HANA system. Currently, we use the SLT connector. If you're just starting this right now, not a good place to start. It's going to die in 27, but we'll be moving over to the node data copy Delta Share technology. And once it's in BigQuery, we actually use Kubernetes and other technologies. Cortex is even in there. And from there, we've actually built out our own AI environment to actually query the data from BigQuery. That data then gets fed back into our SAP system. So those are the different technologies that we use, and that's kind of how we achieve it.
Got it. That's pretty cool. Coming back to you, Joe, for a little bit, on one of the use cases that you have is the analysis of the clinical footage, so to speak, that with a lot of data that exists. I'm sure that was a fun challenge to go solve, given the size of the data that gets moved, and one, it's how it gets reviewed. So I think you've solved the problem in two phases. One is just the storage of all of that and how you move it from your on-premises to the cloud, but also how you use AI to really help the clinical and staff to be able to identify some challenges. How are you integrating AI in these spaces, and what are some of the technologies and partners that are actually using?
Well, our surgeons are really excited about this. The ability to use video from prior surgeries to train staff, mark it up, annotate, guide, use it for simulations. So they're really excited about what the future holds here. They are capturing a lot of data now with this vision of eventually, in your car where you have lane assist, if you start veering off, it steers you back in that direction. With that kind of concept to guide actual surgeries. Now, this is a little further down the road, but that's those are the seeds that we're planting right now. But in order to get to that phase, it requires the buildup of that trusted data platform right now. So they're in the process of collecting video from lots of surgeries, and we're using the Google platform and bringing that all in and using various models to help extract as much information and knowledge about those videos as possible.
Now, are you training these models on the platform with the data that you have and using the smaller models to deploy? Like how, if you share a little bit of color?
We're using just our own data.
Got it.
Our surgeons are keeping this very close to the chest. But there's a lot of value that they're starting to get out of the platform in the different models.
Got it.
We have surgeons who are some of the best doctors in the world who rival some of our best technologists. They're pretty incredible.
And so let's talk. So that's on the proprietary data training model side, but also management of this data at scale.
This is where we help. This is where our technology teams support our clinicians and provide repositories where we can archive this and have different tiers and optimize the spend and still make it all accessible for them to do what they need to do.
Yeah, and that's really important. I just want to kind of highlight that fact, because your AI is only useful based on the memory that it has and the data that it has access to. So if you store it in somewhere where it doesn't have access to, then yes, you have great data, but it's not available, accessible. And so it is long-term memory that you want to train your AI in, but you also need some short-term memory for it to be able to make decisions. And I think what you're explaining with the limits that you can explain, I think it shows that you'll actually really solve that problem or working to solve it as you go along, right?
Every day we're getting better.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. I think one of the things I want to kind of get from you is Williams-Sonoma is a collection of brands, and you said that's the first brand you started with, but now it has grown. As you have seen this, walk us through the journey of the phase from one brand, one challenge, to now multiple brands, coming back to similar to what Joe talked about, training on the data, making sure that the service agent is not just a FAQ-related chatbot, but really engaging to help the customer. And how has that journey been, and what's the feedback been so far?
Perfect. So let me try to answer in maybe 3 parts and keep it short.
Sure.
So the first thing, when we talk about conversational agent, we need to understand part of it is deterministic, like we ask the agent, where is my order? That's fairly deterministic. We can say it is just shipping from the warehouse or this is out for delivery. Then if I ask, help me plan my Thanksgiving menu for 6 of my friends, one of them is vegetarian, another person is allergic to this, that response that we expect from this agent becomes generative. And we have to test this, not just for Williams-Sonoma as one of our brands, for all of our brands. And humanly testing it, of course, it's possible, but that is a huge amount of effort, and also the time to market will be much more longer. The framework that we have been piloting with Gemini models is what we call agent testing agent. So this framework takes one of Gemini's model, try to test this agent, ask various multi-turns or run various multi-turns conversation simulation, and not only just get a response, the response could be a text response, the response could be an image, or response could be a buying guide or something like that. It evaluates, it understands how did the agent do, and give us suggestions back also, what should we improve in this conversational design process. So that's one thing we have been really trying from the early on. And I would like to borrow your phrase, we are getting better at it every day. And that really helps us going to market faster. Now, when we think about conversational agent for a retail or e-commerce point of view, everybody would know the product catalog is key to it. And that's the easiest part. I think everybody has product catalog. This is retrievable. This is usable by agent. But think about the decades of knowledge our associate have about what goes in a room, what goes in a kitchen together, what's in some buying guide, and bringing all this together as a retrievable data. That's where the data engineering works goes, and that is essential for the success of this model, or even basically the agent or conversation agent that we talk about. In traditional e-commerce terms, people would say how we measure is, okay, in revenue, in conversion, that stays there. I'm not going to talk about that today. But what is so much meaningful when you are evaluating a conversation is the depth of conversation. How much time the customers are spending with this agent? Are they really getting the answers they need? Am I happy with the Thanksgiving I planned with the help of this agent? Or is there room that I can call my own? And those are hard to explain in one metrics or one number. We look into indicators, something like depth of conversation, the sentiment, how much time the customer is coming back to it. Those are the indicators we look to measure. And that's been our guide to build more in this way.
Yeah. That's fantastic. I want to kind of double click a little bit, which most of the folks will hear have a question, the agents building agents, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's a circular thing because how do you test the agent? So if you can share a little bit of secret sauce of how you're solving that challenge to get ahead, because I think that's phenomenal, and observability for agents is a big thing. But anything you can share would be great.
Yeah, I'm a big believer of agent building agents, but a step prior to that is agent testing agent.
Right.
If agent can test an agent and evaluate holistically, that builds a foundation for agent building agent. Then we can trust those agents to be able to build it.
Yep. So, but how do you lay the framework of these testing agents, so to speak? And how do you get confident in those agents? And are you breaking them in smaller parts to make sure that they are testing pieces of it?
The way we have tried so far is it's a complete conversation. Okay. We test into the multi-turn. Let's say I start with, help me plan my Thanksgiving menu. Once I have got the menu part more or less done, now help me do my table setting. Or how can I really need this cookware before I plan, or when do I need my turkey? Even it's a question that I need to ask. So we think if we test in small segments, it's not the complete conversation. That will give us, okay, one of these use case work, but does the entire experience work? Probably doesn't.
Yep.
So that's why we have been testing end to end with the full conversation.
Yeah. And I think this is a part where we also announced today where we talked about, hey, every agent will have some generative AI pieces to it, but also business deterministic, right? So I can totally see where you have some deterministic logic in your agent logic to help with the testing of the agents that you want to, right? So I appreciate you going a click below further on that one. So speaking for the impact, right, like what Mo was talking about, Adam, I want to go to you. I think you touched on it earlier. It's like, hey, the impact was we wanted to arm the buyer as well as drive the 2 to 3% kind of a change in how we buy. Can you go a little bit deeper on what is the impact? Because I think the first question everybody is like, great, AI is great. A bunch of tokens are being used. What's the ROI, right?
Yeah.
And so help folks here see that you are seeing the ROI and you're not just drinking the Kool-Aid. So
Okay. So it's basically a CapEx versus OpEx cost. So if we stick back to the customer service question or proof of concept that we did, that's the one that's gone through a full cycle in Smyths. Nothing is really proven to be of any worth until it's gone through a peak period for us. So that's Christmas time. So the customer service one is the one that's made it through now. And at the end of that, we can tell you that the ROI from that was around £1 million, it was. And the CapEx is, I don't know what it was, but the OpEx is Vertex AI. It's like $20 a day. And some numbers around this is kind of like, at this time, we would normally recruit something like 50 people for the Christmas period. So it's about 3 months of the year. And that would be in addition to the 30 people that are permanent. This time round, we recruited, I think it was about 9. So an awful lot less. We finished the period with about 3 because it's customer services people turned over. And rather than backfilling those positions, we just simply didn't. Smyths are doing okay, so sales were actually going up, which then meant customer interactions were also going up. So we actually had about 20% increase on customer interactions due to increase in sales. Despite that, the human agents that were there dealt with 36% less tickets. That just really shows that our AI, we call it Cody, was really driving those customer responses. And we went through Black Friday. Any retailer who just goes through Black Friday understands they wish it never happened. All you're doing is giving away your margin, Patejo. What we decided to do was to switch off our phones for Black Friday and route everything through our AI, just for fun. See how it went. And
a very different definition of fun, but sure, yes.
This is Smyths. We're going to try it. Let's see what happens. They never came back on. That was back in Black Friday in November, and still today the phones are off. So in terms of ROI, yes, it's for Smyths. We've absolutely nailed it. We're now looking at the whole digital workforce, that buying assistant, because that's where there's real ROI for Smyths, and they now believe it because we proved it with customer services. That's
pretty cool. Yeah, and that's fantastic, and I think that's real belief in the AI actually driving the impact, and it's a lot of faith in it, but we're really proud. Joe, I want to come to you on the ROI question, and I think this is hard in healthcare to say on where do you attribute to the value to AI or not. So, one, how are you seeing the value, number one, and how do you also, to your stakeholders and others, showing the value to say this is what AI has been able to kind of deliver for us?
We're in the early days of defining the key metrics that matter most to us. At this point, it's really very qualitative. Is it making staff more efficient, more effective? We do have some examples, and similar to your story with service tickets coming in. So one thing, for example, we went through our Epic migration, our first wave, migrated about 35,000 people, all on a single day. And as you could imagine, or for the subsequent days, there's going to be 2, 3, 4 questions per person.
Right.
That's a lot of volume of questions. So we built, using AI, a knowledge repository that included all the typical questions that we were expecting. And we made it available in line with the tools that they were already using. So if they had a question, they could click on the button and it would grab the context and it would engage in a conversation and try to answer the question. And we were able to deflect quite a few calls that way. And it was our first foray into this. So it was our first migration to Epic. We have since refined. We've built the knowledge articles that will put us in a much better position next month when we go through a similar migration, which will be one of the largest Epic migrations ever. So if you could imagine the amount of questions and entropy that occurs on a migration weekend and the subsequent days, we need things like this. We need these AI capabilities to help us fend off those calls and minimize the disruption to continuity of care.
And this is the migration of your staff and your employees to use the systems.
Correct,
right?
exactly.
And so are you building on these knowledge graphs over time so that it becomes one of the challenges most organizations that I hear too is like, hey, we love adopting and we've adopted AI, but our workforce hasn't adopted. It looks like you found a way for them to immediately solve the pain and then become the de facto way of working. Is that something that you continue building on?
For sure. We see this as integral to our day-to-day support. And how do we get those capabilities in line within the tools that they're using so they don't have to go out and do something in order to get information and get their questions answered? The more we can make it in the loop, in line, the more benefits we'll start to realize.
Yeah, and it's in itself, right? It's a corpus that grows because they also contribute as part of interacting with the system, contribute to the data that itself helps grow and refine the system as well. Right?
That's right.
So, yeah, that's pretty amazing. All right, so let's get into the last part of it, right? Like we all want to be the forward-looking, what's coming in the future. I'll start with you, Mo, on where do you see, like looking ahead on the big AI investments that you see from Williams-Sonoma? Where would you invest? What would be an ideal world where you say, if as AI grows, I would expect to see A, B, and C? Like, what's the future hold for you?
The way I look at it, right, all these AI agents as of now are using LLMs, right? LLMs are generalist. It knows a little bit about everything. And we train it, we put guardrails, we provide context, and it works as agent. What I feel is, I was listening to one of the breakout session earlier today, somebody from Google and NVIDIA who talked about compute becoming a frontier, and that's so true. Mm-hmm. And I think small language model is going to be an interesting aspect to really watch and explore. I am excited to explore Google's Gemini series of small language models. Yeah. One, because it's open weight. Mm-hmm. It's not a black box like some other small language models. Mm-hmm. We have decades of authority in recipes, design, what goes together. Training a small language model or configuring a small language model in those aspects. And even if we start with the data engineering aspect of it, the one I was trying to describe, all this knowledge has to become retrievable to this agent. That itself is a big problem solver for us. And, Gemini is out probably a couple weeks now. Yeah. Yeah. We are excited to start exploring it, and I'm pretty sure there will be more in this, because once you get used to a conversational aspect of AI, you can never unlearn or undo about it. You want to talk to it. So That's the future.
All right, pretty cool. So same question for you, Adam, my friend.
What's next?
Where do you see the horizon?
Doesn't matter, whatever I say is wrong. Trying to guess that is going to be impossible, but it was interesting today in the keynote. It said we're in the agentic era. I think maybe the result of that is, for me, it's more about building a digital workforce. So we're kind of like almost going into in this era. And it kind of stems about what I was trying to say earlier, really, was where does Smyths come from with all this? And in the UK and in Ireland, there's a wealth of knowledge within the teams there, especially within the buying team. Smyths grew into other countries, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and there's knowledge there as well. So as these teams, move on, how do we keep their knowledge?
That's important.
So the digital workforce is your mechanism to do that. You can capture that knowledge, and it will forever stay with you and forever stay in that business. And the result of this is, well, I think going to be quite interesting, where you will find that junior members of staff, suddenly, people turn around, you've got this flip between blue collar and white collar jobs, going on, but you will also have junior members of staff able to accelerate to senior level very, very rapidly because they've got that AI assistance to actually give them that experience, to give them that challenge back to say, have you thought about this? Something that might take years to achieve is now handed to you.
Yeah.
So, you know, where do I think this is going? I think it's going to go in this direction with a digital workforce. Is it going to stay within customer services, which is where we are? No.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to expand.
Yeah. That's true.
That's where I see it going.
Yeah, rapid, because I think even if you have junior members working with the senior members, that wealth of knowledge trickles over time versus now you give a full corpus of that and let them take their journey at their pace. You can accelerate their learning over time. Yeah. So staying with you quickly, so I'm sure there are folks here, some of them are very AI forward, some of them are thinking of starting their journey. One thing, if you say one thing, if you could do, what would your advice be for them? So,
bring your business and people with you. Of all the challenges we've ever had, it's always been people.
Yeah.
They've always been the hardest. So that it's been people, the challenging all the way. When we first started the customer services journey, I was asked to leave the customer services department because people said, you're going to take my job. That was my starting position with customer services. Turned it around. Now we can't deliver AI fast enough. And they're now complaining to our leadership that we're not delivering enough automation fast enough. So it's a total transition.
No good deed goes unpunished, my friend.
Sorry?
I said no good deed goes unpunished.
Yes, that's discovered. So it's, if anything, it's the most important thing isn't actually about having the most agentic solution out there with the latest technology. It's about having an AI solution that your business own and use.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. Thank you. Joe, question to you. Where do you see the future going, and what's one advice, that you can give the crew?
Well, I think that technology is getting so powerful, and it's becoming behind the scenes, and it's putting us in a position where we can focus on the experience that we want to create. And I think Adam and Mo talking about the consumer experiences that they're focused on translates well into healthcare, because they're setting the bar. They're creating these expectations that consumers will want from healthcare too.
Sure.
So us being able within healthcare to deliver experiences end to end that are highly personalized, that are very contextual. I think all these technologies are going to help make that happen. But I agree, Adam, it requires you partnering with the key stakeholders in your organization, not leading with technology. It's leading with the experience you want to create. Fall in love with the problem, fall in love with the capability that you want to create, and move forward. Try things, move forward. This is a rapidly evolving space, so you're going to try things, you're going to make mistakes, but this is how you learn. And just move forward, because if you're not moving forward, you're going to fall behind.
So to summarize, start now if you haven't started, make a business case, and bring people along. And in the end, it's all about the people. Is that fair to summarize?
100%.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think that's kind of wraps it up for us. So I hope this was valuable for you all. Great background and experience from 3 different use cases of how AI is adopted and how they each went about their journey in very different settings and setups. And hopefully you can take these learnings and apply it to your business as well. So with that, I really appreciate you all being here, sharing your experience and your time with me and us. And
thank you.